The forest of Blackwood stood like a sentinel, its towering trees shrouded in an eternal gloom that seemed to seep from the very earth itself. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the only sound was the distant, mournful cry of a lonely bird. It was a place where the sun rarely broke through the canopy above, and when it did, it cast long, ominous shadows that seemed to writhe and twist on the forest floor. As the seasons changed, the locals whispered tales of strange occurrences in Blackwood. Hikers who ventured into the forest never returned, and those who did were forever changed, their eyes haunted by some unseen terror. Some said the forest was cursed, while others spoke of an ancient power that lurked just beyond the tree-line, waiting to snuff out the light of any who dared to enter. The wind rustled through the leaves, sending a chill down the spines of even the bravest adventurers. It was as if the forest itself was watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And then, there were the compasses. They would spin wildly, pointing in every direction but north, as if the very fabric of reality was being warped and twisted. I first heard the whispers of Blackwood's curse when I was a teenager, huddled around a campfire with friends who had recently returned from a disastrous expedition into the forest. Their eyes were sunken, their skin pale, and their words were laced with a creeping dread that seemed to seep from their very pores. They spoke of compasses that spun wildly, of shadows that moved of their own accord, and of the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. As the years passed, I became increasingly obsessed with the mysteries of Blackwood. I spent countless hours poring over maps and guides, searching for any clue that might explain the strange occurrences in the forest. And then, one day, I stumbled upon an ancient journal hidden deep within the stacks of a dusty old library. The entries were cryptic, but one phrase stood out: the compasses lie, and the truth is hidden in the darkness. I assembled a team of fellow adventurers, each of us armed with a compass and a healthy dose of skepticism. We set out into the forest, determined to uncover the secrets that lay hidden beneath the twisted canopy above. But as we walked, the air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to grow longer and darker. We began to notice the compasses spinning wildly, pointing in every direction but north. Some of us laughed it off as a joke, but I knew better. I had read the journal, and I knew that this was no mere trick of the mind. The compasses were spinning because they were being manipulated, and the truth was hidden in the darkness. As the sun began to set, we stumbled upon an ancient clearing, hidden deep within the heart of the forest. The trees seemed to close in around us, their branches tangling together like skeletal fingers. And in the center of the clearing stood a single, twisted tree, its branches reaching up towards the sky like a macabre finger. I approached the tree, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached out to touch the trunk, the compasses on my team's wrists began to spin wildly, pointing in every direction but north. I knew then that we were in the presence of something ancient and malevolent, something that did not want us to leave the forest alive. And then, it happened. One by one, my team members began to vanish into thin air, their screams echoing through the forest as they were dragged screaming into the darkness. I was left alone, my compass spinning wildly as I stumbled through the forest, desperate to find my friends. As I ran, the trees seemed to close in around me, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to snare me. I stumbled through the underbrush, my heart pounding in my chest, and that was when I saw it, a figure, tall and gaunt, standing just beyond the tree-line. And as I watched in horror, the figure began to change, its face contorting into a grotesque parody of my own. It was me, or at least, it was my reflection, trapped in some ancient and malevolent mirror. The figure spoke in a voice that was both familiar and yet, utterly alien. "You should not have come here," it said, as the forest closed in around me, and I screamed.